President Tinubu urges African youths to rise with courage for a united continent.
Nigerian pilgrims commence visitation of holy sites in Medina.
Let's take away sacrifice. These people sacrifice for Islam, so we should sacrifice for our country.
Pope Leo XIV urges global peace in emotional appeal.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today we shall discuss national security addressing resurgence of banditry.
The sun may be rising, but for many across the northwest, a dark cloud still looms, one cast by the resurgence of banditry.
It is a grim reality, and you know, from violent raids to mass kidnappings, communities are being torn apart. The question on everyone's lips is what really fuels this crisis?
Yes, a big question. Some experts point to a web of factors: the farmer-herders conflicts, weak governance structures, porous borders that enable arms trafficking, and even deep-rooted historical grievances.
And of course, the consequences are far-reaching, from displacement and death to economic disruption and the trauma of ransom kidnappings. No region should have to live like this, I think.
Yeah, thankfully efforts are being ramped up. We are seeing increased military deployment, smarter surveillance technology, and collaboration between government and communities. But is it enough?
On that note, today we take a deep dive into the heart of this national crisis and look ahead to the Senate-proposed National Security Summit. Can it offer lasting solutions?
Big question. Addressing the resurgence of banditry, that's our focus this morning. I am Ademola Ade, and as always, we are glad you are starting your day with us.
Yes, they're starting their day with us and the week with us. And I am Juma Yusuf. We are live on the network service of the NTA. And in a little while, our very own Chukudi Okolu Baja will be joining us for the newspaper review.
But first, let's bring you up to speed with the major headlines making the rounds this morning. Good morning, Comfort. Amodu, how are you today?
I'm well, Ademola. And,
good morning, Comfort.
Good morning, Jumai. Good morning, Nigerians. We begin with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's calling to the next generation of Africans in science, technology, education, governance, entrepreneurship, and the arts to boldly contribute to a united, peaceful, and prosperous continent. Speaking as the guest of honor at the 25th anniversary of the Millennium Excellence Prize in Kumasi, Ghana, he highlighted the importance of collaboration among Africans in shaping their shared destiny. His message, delivered by Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Bianca Ojukwu, emphasized that the renewed hope agenda aimed at transforming lives, fostering inclusive growth, and positioning Nigeria as a regional leader. Tinubu called on the African youths to champion excellence, embrace leadership through service, and invest in their development while promoting cross-border collaboration. And he expressed gratitude to His Majesty Otumfuo Osai Tutu II for hosting the event, which has served as a beacon of inspiration since its inception in 1988. Ojukwu accepted a Lifetime Africa Achievement Prize on Tinubu's behalf alongside other honorees. And in a renewed demonstration of Nigerians' commitment to the fight against human trafficking, 78 victims have been repatriated from Côte d'Ivoire. The return was facilitated by coordinated efforts of the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, NAPTIB, and an indigenous airline.
The young women and girls who have just returned, we say welcome home. You were taken far from the safety and dignity you deserve. But today, You are back on Nigerian soil, and you are not alone. You are home, and this country stands with you.
Away from that, more than 5,500 Nigerian pilgrims for this year's Hajj have been so far lifted to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Correspondent Jamilu Ibrahim reports that the pilgrims are now busy with visitation to various holy sites in the city of Medina and its environs.
The theoretical aspect of it that we've been hearing, we are here to see the practical aspect of it. I'm so glad, I'm so impressed, and to witness this.
It strengthens our faith. It gives us the synergy. It gives us the strength to unite ourselves as Muslims. And it gives us the opportunity to pray for our nation.
Pope Leo XIV has called for an end to war in the world as he greeted crowds from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica this Sunday. Ekenendulu reports that this is his second official public appearance since becoming the leader of the Catholic Church. Now, desperate attempts by a woman, the Miracle Behi, who disguised with hijab to export large consignment of cocaine concealed in her private part, stomach and false bottom of her handbag to Iran, has been thwarted by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Rivers State. Obehi was dressed in hijab to beat security checks, which was intercepted at the departure hall of the Port Harcourt Airport on Sunday, 3rd May, while trying to board a Qatar airline flight to Iran via Doha, following credible intelligence. She was found to have inserted 3 wraps of cocaine in her private part and 2 large parcels hidden in false compartments of her handbag, while she swallowed 67 pellets of the Class A drug. As a result, she was placed under excretion observation, and after 4 excretions, that lasted days, she expelled the 67 wraps of the substance in her stomach. And also the NDLA operatives at the Murtala International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, on Friday 9th May also intercepted a 22-year-old British national, Campbell Kaisra Kofi Johannes, coming from Thailand through Doha on Qatar Airways flight with 2 suitcases loaded with 35 parcels of loud, a strong strain of cocaine or cannabis weighing 37.60 kilograms. In Niger State, NDLA officers acting on intelligence on Wednesday, 7th May, intercepted a fuel truck and 3 other vehicles loaded with 246 bags of skunk, a strain of cannabis with a combined weight of 3,047 kilograms along Suleja Kaduna Road. 4 suspects were also arrested with the exhibits. Those are the highlights of the news at this time. Jumai and Demola will be back with Good Morning Nigeria, and the conversation is on security. Do not go away.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Afam Bogeneka, Ebim Nagara Dimawa Village, Abuja, Nazo Afeba. So Esom Nandi register na NSR government register with my NIN. So government we use ATM card. Njiwe wete 25,000 naira 3 times. And ega haya mketa barumuru na dem. Eji megoro makamihe. Jikweru mehendozo. Thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
Emeka, you come into my home and you see me and my family enjoying our golden morn, and you still proceed to talk about business.
Emma, it is very, very serious.
Yes, so there is serious news. Introducing the new Golden Morn 3-in-1 with milk already inside for your creamy, nutritious enjoyment. Get the new Golden Morn 3-in-1 for your family.
From Nestle. When you're low on energy and need a break, give yourself a treat. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Smooth. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy. Chocolatey. Frothy goodness. Rich taste. So satisfying. Cadbury 3-in-1 Hot Chocolate. The treat you deserve.
Hear that? It's the roar of the crowd, the pulse of champions, the sound of history being made. Ogun State is ready to host the biggest sporting event of the year, the 22nd National Sports Festival, Gateway Games Ogun 2024. From May 16th to 30th, 2025, the nation's finest athletes will gather at the MKO Abiola Stadium, Abeokuta, and other sports centers in Ogun State. 33 sports, 36 states, and the FCT. One goal: to rise, to compete, to win. The world is watching. This is our moment, our time to shine. The stage is set. Gateway Games Ogun 2024, a celebration of sports, unity, and culture. Host, His Excellency Governor Dapo Abiodun. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn, àjọṣe gbogbo wa ni.
Our major currency unit is the Naira, while the minor unit is the Kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the naira at events. Stop stepping on the naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the naira. Handling the naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the naira. Love the naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the naira.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
Newspaper reviewer Chukudi Okolu-Baja is seated here in the studio. Chukudi, you got a cold?
You know, I am like the beetle. There's no killing the beetle. You will not come here. That's who I am. This cold, I've conquered you. Demo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I am not going to be demolished by the cold.
You're not going to
the
be.
weekend was sweet. We know about the matches. Can we please review the newspapers?
Okay, let's quickly go to the
trying to cover
papers. I have the Daily Times newspaper. Let's begin with it, with the Daily Times newspaper. And just above the masthead, we have Oboroveri hails late Edwin Clark as national icon, urges Nigerians to emulate bequeathed legacy. And below the masthead, I will campaign for Tinubu in 2027. That is from our former First Lady, Patience Ebele Jonathan. And at the bottom plate of the Daily Times newspaper, crude oil theft, we have sent over 100 pipeline vandals to prison. That's coming from the National Security Advisor. 2027, Atiku constitutionally fit to run. Ex-spokesman show me. West Africa security and political economy, that's part 2. You read all about it in the inside of the paper on page 12. Police nab 2 brothers for abducting robbing man of 70 million naira in Delta State. And that is on page 7. Let me quickly go to the Business NG.
Okay.
Above the masthead, we have. Just go on.
All right. Okay. Let me just go to Leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper, just above the nameplate. 78 trafficking victims rescued from Côte d'Ivoire. Details of that story is on page 22. Army arrests 12 Mahmouda terrorists in Kwara. Details of that story is on page 7. Then we have these businesses anticipate higher interest rates, inflation, CBN. Details on page 7. Residents of Northwest communities flee over Toje's fresh threats. Details on page 7. Ahead of 2027, coalition talks tough as support for Tinubu swells. Governors Minister Tompolo spearhead President's second-term bid. I will lead campaign with First Lady, that is former First Lady Patience Jonathan. Coalition remains unfazed by Atiku's team. Details of that story can be found on page 7. PDP governors, Wike orders meet over state of party. Details of that story can also be found on page 30. Troops arrest notorious gun runner in Plateau. Details on page 22. UBEC unveils 3-year strategic roadmap. Details on page 14. Pope Leo XIV calls for lasting peace in Ukraine and Gaza. Details on page 6. And we have this front page picture of this Aroma village in Bafarawa area of Issa local government in Sokoto State, deserted by residents following fresh threat by unwanted bandit leader.
Okay, let's quickly go to the business Nigeria, and above the masthead, controversy erupts over Kano State's ban on live political programs. You find details on page 2. AGF Ogunjimi sets sights on passage of PFM bill. You find that also on page 2. And below the masthead, Northern governors back creation of state police. You find the details too on page 2. The headlines in the business Nigeria today: Dangote pushing vested interest, not cabal. That's coming from Dapman. And citizens' concerns rise over 75% of 2025 UTME candidates score below 200. Lagos State begins demolition of illegal structures in Ikeja. And just below the picture story there, you see Nigeria's Eurobond market hit by sell-off despite IMF debt settlement. And federal government to update Nigerians on Naira crude policy soon. That's about what we have in the papers this morning. Chukuri.
Let me quickly talk about this wonderful statesman, Oboroweri hails late Edwin Clark as national icon. You know, Edwin Clark gave me an interview about 2 years ago when we went for his endorsement of Mike Egene, whom we were making a model of integrity because of his activities as a resident electoral commissioner, you know, in the south there. He told Mike Egene. But the point is, this man was still spitting fire at over 90. Spitting fire in favor and in support of the green, white, green.
Because of his love for
Edwin Clark believed in this country. He told me that the division among Nigerians now was something he couldn't understand. He told me about these change programs happening between the north and the south, how they were living like brothers and all that. Made me think, where did we go wrong? How did it all start? The division and all that. We can only wish him sweet rest.
Amen.
In the Lord. You know, the people, what are they called now, saying that Dangote is pushing a vested interest, not a cabal. It's not a cabal that is behind it. It's a vested interest from Dangote. That's the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketing Association of Nigeria. Now, the point you want to make in this case is what are they still, you know, quibbling about? What are they still talking about? Government has done enough legislation concerning the upstream and the downstream sectors of the petroleum industry. And a big umbrella has been spread which can shelter everyone. Just respect my space, I respect your space. Why? They are saying that Dangote wants to dominate the pricing terrain, landscape and all that. Those are things we don't want to hear. We are thinking about prices that will crash.
The infighting is causing a lot of problem, you know, in pricing and all that.
You begin to think that there's a lot to hide in that sector.
Other countries will be celebrating that a private sector person has come up to have a refinery and will be able to reduce the cost.
Exactly.
But in Nigeria, it's as if, no, you're not supposed to do this. We don't want, you know, since the refinery came on board, the infighting is becoming...
I have not investigated the Dangote refinery, but the first thing that occurs to me is that it is a project we should all applaud. Imagine Dangote exporting fuel to where? They mentioned the U.S. every time.
Yes.
Meaning that Black Africa can actually give out products, refined products that can hit markets in the so-called, are they called first world or developed world, whatever they call themselves. Let them stop all the infighting. It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. It's causing a lot of problems, and you know, it is we that suffer the brunt of the fight, the infighting.
President Ahmed Bola Tinubu should be smiling. Patience Jonathan says she's teaming up with the current First Lady, former First Lady, teams up with current First Lady to campaign for the current president. It's quite sweet. Patience Jonathan does have some clout on her access of the Niger Delta. Apart from the social, traction she pulls across Nigeria, So I want to think that it's quite a good measurement.
Her coming on board is
yes,
good for
I think it is. The article says that they are, still going strong and all that, the coalition and all that. Yes. But the way things are going, let's not preempt them. Let's not be judgmental.
2027 is still far off.
It's still far off.
And only the living will see it.
Terrorist in Kwara.
What I ask when Army arrests 12 Mahmuda terrorists is, are you sure that it is new terrorist groups we are? Or they have decided to split themselves into, to drive the fear of terrorism into us? Mm. The choreography of the mind of the criminal is a trap in profound treachery. So sometimes we need to take it with a pinch of salt. That's what I think. They might actually be giving themselves different names to give the army, to give the people a scary feeling that they are everywhere. We must also think about that. But the important thing is that they were arrested. That means we're depleting their number.
Yes.
Yeah, we're depleting their numbers. It's just that the fear that they are springing up in different parts of the country is just
especially the Northwest.
It's worrisome.
Yes.
The Northwest used to be the most stable, safe place in Nigeria, but unfortunately, what happened?
What would worry me is if their activity has indeed, evolved into a greater volume and all that.
You don't have to wait till
because that. No. Please let me finish. I'm still saying that it could be a ploy by them to give the sense of we are everywhere. Mm. But just as you said, preemption is better than reaction. Mm. Yeah, I think I fully buy that. I really do. So
I'm happy that the military is going on, not on the defense like they used to be before. Now they are in attacking mode. They are all out there, and the success story coming out from all these operations is quite commendable indeed. Let's talk about JAMB before you go briefly, please. The JAMB result this year is appalling. It's appalling. It has been.
I don't know whether
it has been declining over the years.
It's a function of children who have started telling themselves, my uncle will graduate since 30 years ago, don't get work. Or that teachers are no longer concentrating on teaching because some of them have to dash out to sell a few shoes to augment their salary. I don't know what
or the parents paying for the kids to get good grades and the kids think they're doing something good.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous for educational sector.
There will be parents that actually need parenting.
Yes, there are parents that need parenting.
When they happen on children, it's a disaster, colossal disaster. If you tell me that a mother who comes in torn jeans up to the lap is going to raise a girl who's going to dress well in life, conservative, old-fashioned me will tell you, you must be, you're crying for the moon. Impossible. It's not going to happen. So you cannot give out evil when you're full of good. You cannot also give out good when you're full of evil. Actually, we remember the policeman who challenged me in Lagos. I thought I knew something. They said your men shot somebody dead on the Yanokbaja bridge. And you're here telling me that's not what happened. I have witnesses and all that. When I'd rattled, we went to other things and he told me, my son, a society gets the kind of police force it deserves.
Yes.
He started teaching me sociology. And I kept quiet. I know that Demola would have applauded if he was there. Somebody don't finally catch.
Well, I don't want to ask you to keep quiet, but then you just have to
kick me out. I know you. I know your intentions.
Thank you so much, Chooks.
Bless you.
You have a lovely week.
Go take care of yourself. Take care of this cold. Don't be here on Thursday and come and give me cold.
This chest will be conquered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
All right, we'll take a break now. The conversation will kickstart after the break. Stay with us.
I therefore call on my colleagues, or media professionals and editors, to be discerning in their reportage. We must deny these groups the undue publicity they crave. We must take them off the front pages and accurately report them as the criminals that they are, without glorifying their acts or giving credence to their false narratives. These, of course, are not freedom fighters. They are murderers, kidnappers, and destroyers, and they must be presented as such.
We are live in the open market for Epic 10X Challenge. My people, today I will show you how the power of new Epic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Epic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Epic is better than bleach.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand, we bet solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The Nigerian national flag represents our country's history, culture, and identity. It was designed in 1959. The colors are Emerald Green 2.0, which represents agriculture, and Immaculate White represents unity and peace. Know how to handle our flag. Illuminate the environment or don't fly the flag overnight. Do not fly a dirty or tattered flag. Take such flag to the nearest National Orientation Agency office for proper disposal and replacement. The national flag can only be flown at half-mast on the directive of the federal government. The national flag must be flown at the same or higher height when displayed alongside other flags. Don't burn or allow the national flag to fall on the ground. Do not print, decorate, modify, or insert the coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during internment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
At NTA Television College JOS, you will dive into exhilarating hands that will fuel your passion in education and propel your career to new heights. We don't just teach, we craft the next generation of media leaders. Explore our diverse offering, understanding the personnel matters and issues in the public service, basic development communication, financial reporting under IPSAS, and interpretation of public sector accounting standard IPSAS, audit, internal check and control management, video camera maintenance, new technologies, optics, fiber, IP technologies, automation, storage management, and wireless technology. Challenges and opportunities in the secretarial profession in the digital age. Digital marketing, basic drama, online reporting, understanding the provisions of the revised public service, audio engineering operations and maintenance, camera operations, and intermediate drama. Mark your calendar. The second quarter of 2025 is your launch pad. This is your moment to seize the future. Announcer Management.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
Thanks for joining us. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. And to begin our conversation, which borders on national security, addressing resurgence of banditry, let's take this background report put together by Timothy Yusuf.
Many believe that banditry has become a significant security challenge in Nigeria, particularly in the northwest and north-central regions. The menace has resulted in loss of lives, displacement of communities, and economic hardship. The Nigerian government has, however, implemented various measures to contain banditry. These measures include military operations to flush out bandits from their hideouts, enhancing intelligence gathering to identify and track bandits, engaging with local communities to gather intelligence and build trust, and implementing programs to address poverty and unemployment, among others. Recently, the National Assembly has taken steps to address the security challenge through plans to convene a security summit to bring together stakeholders to discuss the security situation and develop strategies to address banditry. It is also working on legislative frameworks to strengthen the security architecture and provide a legal basis for addressing banditry. By building on the efforts of the government and the National Assembly, analysts are hopeful that Nigeria can reduce the incidence of banditry and promote national security. The proposed security summit, they noted, is a step in the right direction, and it is expected to provide a platform for stakeholders to share ideas and develop effective strategies to address the security challenge. NTA's Good Morning Nigeria is now set to bring you up to speed on efforts towards addressing resurgence of banditry. Come along with us.
Thank you very much, Timothy Yusuf, for that background report. And also to join us for this conversation, we already have our guest in the studio, Patrick Agbambo. Is the President, CEO, Security Watch African Initiatives. Good morning, Mr. Patrick. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Glad to have you join us. And joining us via Zoom from Jos, Plateau State, is Brigadier General John Temlang, ON, Pioneer Commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force, former President of the Alumni Association of the National Defense College, and Security Consultant. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Jumai. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. And also joining us from Bauchi is Dr. Yehuza Getso. He is a security, intelligence, and investigation expert. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's just kickstart our conversation this morning on the national security and the resurgence of banditry. We're going to start from Jos, actually, and let me just ask General Temlong. You can just tell us, explain to us the background of this, insecurity and why it has led to this resurgence.
Well, thank you very much for having me. We are having a very complex security situation, and that's, we call it asymmetric threat. It is complex in that there is no symmetry. You have terrorists, insurgents, criminals embedded amongst the security, this population. And so it's quite difficult to fish them out. It's quite difficult to know who is a terrorist, They speak the same language, they wear the same dress, they don't have uniform, they don't have marks on them. And so they are being buoyed by criminals in the society who I would call crisis entrepreneurs, making a huge amount of money from what is happening. And so when the military or the security agencies are able to degrade them to a certain extent, you find out that they sort of regroup because that's their sources of livelihood. Sometimes they are being buoyed by the criminals in the society. And these criminals have no grades. Some of them are highly placed. Some of them are people that you respect in the society. And sometimes some bad eggs within the security agencies do aid them too. So the problem is that when you see at a time they get a lull, sometimes it's because they have reached an elastic limit in the operation. What we call elastic limit in the operation is that you have reached your end. It's like an elastic. When you go beyond that, you break. You have gotten to the breaking point. So what they do is that they go down to regroup and strengthen the elasticity of their operation. And so they do that. And don't forget too, they have a lot of linkages with the ISWAP, Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, and some disturbing reports coming out, which is quite known to us, that a lot of the NGOs that we had in this country, a lot of them were collaborators to some of these criminals. So it's something that is quite very complex. But as it were, the terrorist itself, his oxygen is the population. And so we have been relying more on the kinetic operation as against the soft power. And it's quite unfortunate because the role of local governments and states is quite key to these soft power components, because they are closest to the population. So we have not been able to sensitize our population. Yes, the National Orientation Agency puts up some of these adverts that you will play from time to time and daily. But then, how many people have TVs that will reach out at this time in the morning? They might have gone to the farms, or they are out there in their joints drinking and the rest. So you need more efforts at the local and state level to bring up and sensitize the citizens as to their responsibilities as to national security. When we say security is everybody's business, if it's my business, I should be able to know something about it. What are my roles and what can I do to enhance security? So this resurgence that we're seeing is as a result of a rebuild up that has gone on. They have rearmed, they have recruited more people from the population, they have more informants, they have more collaborators, and so they are hitting. And this is another vulnerable time too for the people, farmers. The center of gravity of farmers is for the farm. So also is the center of gravity for the herders is the herds themselves. So what they are doing now is to hit the people hard, disturb them and destabilize them from farming. And so you are going to create hunger, and there will be disillusionment with the government. Because if people cannot eat, a hungry man is an angry man. And so you create more room for them to recruit people, and at the end of the day, they should be able to carry out their sinister motive of overrunning the country. So it's quite a very complex situation that we're dealing with. And we need to be up and doing and do more than the talk shops that we're talking about. Everybody should carry out his responsibilities, as it were, to be able to stem this and degrade these people to the extent. And I think too, we definitely have to look at our criminal justice system. It's quite lenient on these people, and we have not been able to come out and say, look, these are the number of people that have been convicted. These are the people, and what are their convictions? What are their fines? They are murderers, and so the problem is that when you murder, you are supposed to be killed. So I think we need to do and be more forthright and forthcoming, and be tougher on crime as it were in this country than what we are doing now. So it's quite unfortunate that it's resurging at this time, but I think, but I'm sure and I'm confident that our armed forces and the security agencies will be able to do their own part. But on the part of the states and local governments and the population, we need to up our game to be able to complete the 70% that is needed to wipe out these criminalities that we have here. Thank you.
General Temlong, for your opening comment on this topic, and we all know that it requires a multifaceted approach to be able to nip this banditry in the bud. And we're here in the studio with Mr. Patrick Abwangwa. He's President CEO Security Watch Africa Initiative, and you've listened to General Temlong, and you've been in the field too. You've interviewed people affected by banditry, insurgency, and you know, people like Boko Haram and all that. Let's get your opinion. How would you define the current state of national security in Nigeria? It's a cause for concern, don't you think?
I would say that the current state of national security is not encouraging. It's not encouraging because the various sectors that should play their roles are not playing their role. Just like the respected general had said, the 70% of this responsibility reside in the citizen. And as we speak, the actual role, or will I say the sensitization of the citizens to their roles in this national security arrangement has not actually been disseminated or been carried out. So it's easier to tell the citizens, provide information to what extent it's not been defined, to who it's not actually been structured. And so that 70% still is, how will I say, we have failed in that regard. Then the remaining 30%, which is largely the government and security agencies, I would say that politically also we have not seen a encouraging political will to get this issue taken care of. The armed forces and the security forces and other security services are trying their best, but it's limited. And that is why we still go around the circle. When it seems as if we're getting it better, there's a resurgence again, because all those who should be playing their roles are failing. And it's a whole of society approach that will help us, but that has failed totally.
When you say, sorry, I've got a cough there. When you say that people who should be involved in security, protecting people, are not fully involved, is it because everything is just centered at the center? The federal government does everything, the states and local governments are not contributing the way they should as security officers of their states?
Yeah, that is largely true. Yes, I agree with you. But for me, I also think that the Office of National Security Advisor has not really. We have a national security policy. We have a program, and it touches every sector of our lives. And as we speak, I don't think there are up to 1% of Nigerians that knows about it and knows what it contains. And so we believe that there must be a way to let the citizens know their responsibility. You go to some countries, it's easy for the citizens to identify and know what they have to do. Many a times you hear provide information. To what extent? How do people who are held captive in communities provide information? So there are a lot of challenge in that regard. So I think that the Office of National Security Advisor should take it as a responsibility to get the citizens, to buy the citizens into this agenda so that we can have that peace. Then the citizens themselves, I tell you, because there have been total neglect in the local community, the local governments are non-existent. All the attempts to make it functional is still not yielding results. That is where the insecurity thrives. It's in the local areas. And when you don't have governance in the local areas, then the criminals take over. And that is what we're saying. There's need to urgently activate the local governments to start working, and so that the security forces and those who need to will know who to relate with. But today, until that is done, and we're depending only on the federal government and a bit from the state government, we're going to be going around the circle.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Agbambu, for that, your opening remarks there. While he was talking, one of our guests just come in, Professor Oke Ikechukwu. He's the Executive Director of Development Specs, Academic and Fellow, Nigeria Institute of Public Relations. Prof, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we'll allow you to at least calm down a bit. Since you have just called me in, let's just bring in Dr. Getso to this discussion. So let's have your perspective on this, the root causes of this banditry, in Nigeria's northwest region, and how they have contributed to the resurgence of violence. Let's get your perspective on that.
Well, first of all, we must all together commend our security operatives for working hard to have been able to eliminate as many as possible among the bandits' kingpins. It is very important to note that in this regard, the communities themselves have improved in terms of providing required intelligence and working much more better than what it used to be in terms of relating with the security and providing the required information. Government on its side had been making pronouncements which have made it very clear that there is an improvement in terms of commitments from both the ministers of defense, both the junior minister and the senior minister, as well as the national security advisors' efforts to collaborate and partner with work with the state governments, as well as the traditional and religious institutions to ensure that at least some level of improved coordination mechanism have been provided. So as far as I'm concerned, yes, of course, there are issues here and there. There are challenges here and there. Also, there are connivance, as there are unscrupulous elements among the security personnel. There are also unpatriotic elements among the citizens who are working day and night closely to provide required support for these cowardice criminals. However, I still believe that if the military and other security operatives will still take a rethink of utilizing the approach of community-driven approach, that is to use the more of bottom-top approach, because I believe, and I still believe, that's still my position, that 99.9% of these criminals, of these cowardice criminals in the north central and northwestern part of the country are known. Their hideouts is known, and they can be reached and they can be dealt with accordingly. That is one. Secondly, I so much believe that the Nigerian military, as well as other security operatives and other intelligence personnel, have the capacity and ability, and they can be able to manage the situation accordingly. But I want the general public to understand that the role of the military and other security agencies is just 20% in terms of managing the security. 40% must come from the public, because we must provide the enabling environment for the security agencies to be able to kind of facilitate the operations. And at the same time, we also need to have 40% from the government. When I say the government, I'm talking about the legislature, I'm talking about the executive, and I'm talking about the judiciary. However, the judiciary have not really been playing the expected role in terms of dealing with the situation accordingly. Because if at all we have been handling those cases that we have pending in the courts of those who have been found wanting, either directly or indirectly, I think that could have served as a deterrence for others to be careful and for others to not to be associated with. I believe so much Nigeria has the capacity, Nigeria has the armament, Nigeria has the personnel, and Nigeria has the patriotic, agile personnel who are really willing and ready to deal with it. Yes, of course, it is always good to also bring the traditional and religious institutions to governance to sit down and discuss and review issues. But we need to go back and look at the commitments and look at the recommendations being made by a number of committees being set on those recommendations and implement them accordingly. And also we need to reinvest more and more into technology so that we can be able to reach out to where these cowardice criminals are so that we can be able to deal with them accordingly. That's my take for now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Getso, for your opening comments too, and you've really gone deep into the conversation, talking about from, bottom to top approach. It's something that people say will sort of help the military fight banditry when people who are most affected are able to come out and say they need help. Now, joining us in the studio, like my co-presenter said, is Dr. Okay, who is here. He came in late. Traffic, I hope, I guess. so what's
traffic in Abuja?
Traffic? Well, there's traffic. So what's your opinion on this banditry? It's increasing. The names of the bandits, bandit groups, is just becoming too much. You seem to forget them now. We have the Mahmudawa in Sokoto State. How, in your opinion, how people say it's poverty, is unemployment and all that, do you think that is the root cause of why people join banditry? Or it's just a
First
choice
of
they
all,
want to
among
do?
the bandits that have been arrested, or those who are killed, what's their age bracket? That's question number one. They are young people. Number two, in the environments where they are very active, what's the level of unemployment? Very high. What's the rate of collapse of local economies? Very high. What's the level of political leadership and cohesion? Local government chairmen are not living in their local governments, either in Abuja or Kaduna. There is no local government activity going on. The local government gets probably, let's assume, 180 million in a month. Nothing happens. It's as simple as that. The environment is available to be taken. And so when you speak of de-radicalization, you cannot de-radicalize a man who is busy selling suya or repairing shoes or in the office or running a bakery. You can't. So it's a fairly straightforward matter about it's all traceable to the absence of effective civilian leadership, an uncontrolled environment, and an environment, and it's not peculiar to Northeast, all over the country. It just happens to have gotten ahead because of the activities of, the guy that was killed, who started the whole thing in 2009?
Yusuf?
Yeah, all of that. But let's get around so that I think the issues will probably be properly disaggregated. You recall, I think, was it last week that a member of the House of Reps, spoke at length about the bombing and demolition of barracks, about how much is given to the military. I felt scandalized listening to that because I believe that at that level you should have information before you stand on the floor of the House to speak. You say a barrack was sacked, by whom? And the incident was explained. When you store arms in the armory, overheating could make just one of them explode and it will affect the rest. He didn't have that information. He didn't have information about the amount of money given to the military, said in trillions. He knew nothing about procurements. That you could request for arms. It gets manufactured. It takes time and all of that. And he also, with all due respect, I don't think he knows about the budgeting process. 3 billion has been approved for NTA. Everybody is clapping. By the end of the year, NTA got 900 million. Nobody knows.
Yes.
Does he have that information? Did he make it public? So that's what ends up turning the people against the military out of ignorance. Question number one, how many soldiers do we have in the Federal Republic of Nigeria? How many officers does the NDA turn out every year? What's the land size of Nigeria? What's the capacity available? If there's a lot of banditry in your place, and I'm posted there as commander of a platoon, not a platoon, maybe a brigade, I'm not from your village, so I don't know anybody. Any information, you are in the person in a position to say, a stranger came in. There's somebody, because all of us are from villages and we know how villages work. You don't give me, the brigade commander, any information. You don't give anything to the DSS, but we are to secure you when we don't know what your problem is. So, three distinct issues. Number one, the absence of responsible civilian leadership at that level. Also, the failure of traditional institutions, because when you look at it, I'm a politician, I'm holding a position today, probably I'm a senator, and I come and begin to donate money on a regular basis. Everybody claps for me. The traditional ruler gives me a title. I sit in the front row in the church, or if I'm going to mosque, when I'm coming, people are passing in God's own house. What am I doing? I'm mentoring a new generation who think that the only way to be taken seriously is to be seen to have a lot of money. And if money can be made by banditry, it's a shorter route than several other options. So I want us to see the cocktail of social issues that led to all of this. Challenged or limited responsible leadership, a misunderstanding of societal roles, because take away, like I mentioned, the age of the bandits. The beggars in the streets, what's their age bracket? The unknown gunmen, what's their age bracket? The people bombing pipelines in the southwest, south-south, what's their age bracket? It will then tell you that you have a very young population of Nigerians disconnected from the structures for proper self-development. And to that extent, they don't understand when you speak of the state. It does not impact them. They don't know what you mean when you speak of Nigeria, or Ogun State government, or Anambra State government. They think of survival. That's why a lecturer in my UNIMED could be facilitating information for insurgents. That's why young people will be giving them information. That's why a traditional ruler, I think, what was it Katsina? The one that collected 700,000 and allowed them to raid a village. The total social disconnect puts our military in a terrible position. They are being sent to do a job that should not exist. Insurgency fighting should not exist if there was responsible civilian leadership. What does it take to produce a major? How many years? And then an aeroplane carrying, was it 20 people? The Niger incident was shot down. I didn't get any report that any of them survived. But what did the governor say? Oh, don't attack the bandits. Go and discuss with them. In the 21st century, go and, if you're a soldier, how would you feel? If your brother or your sister died, how would you feel? No, go and negotiate with them. And I keep saying this. The option of aerial support is not being explored. We're in Taraba State, yeah? That's the one that you, I think, is it Taraba? The one you land at your land, travel by road?
Yes, that's
Not long ago. Massive land area, a lot of insecurity before the current governor. Fortunately, they sent, I think, Brigadier Owa, making fantastic moves. The governor has given them a drone support. Now, I'm bringing the drone matter to Nigeria because last year we were in South Africa. We visited 2 drone manufacturing companies, military grade, weaponized drones. After all the fancy presentations and tea, everybody's about to go. I said, no. I went to meet aside with them. Now, this is weaponized. He said, yes. What's the radius? He said, each of the drones can do 200 miles. Weaponized, fully fueled, it won't come down. I said, okay, so I went into the inner office. Let's see, how many drones will Nigeria need? 6. Not 600.
Only
6 drones. I was staring at him. He said, yes, 6. He put Nigeria on the map, mounted the drones. You could see the virtual reality. And then, I say, okay, so how much will that be? $90 million. Not 900, not 1 billion. $90 million. I said, okay, I'm from Anambra State, so if you're to do it in my state, how much will it cost? Maybe I'll talk to my governor, at least to secure our place, because the unknown gunmen are really unknown gunmen. He put it on Nigeria. I said, Anambra said, no, your state is too small.
For
they have this accent. Yes, no, it's too small for this drone. If your governor can, he checked it, if you can talk to 3 other states around that place. I said, so how much is that? I think he said 50 million. I said, 50 million when Nigeria is 90. He said, yes, that is support. The control, command and control, which is the room, is 30 million is standard. The rest are the cost of unit cost of drone.
Which is something we can have.
Very easily from our breast pocket. But several issues are on the table. You blame the military, you don't ask yourself what's the role and extent of involvement of civilian political leaders in procurement. I'm a hunter. I want to buy cartridges. And my aunt, who sells kunu, is procuring cartridges for me, who is a hunter. Clap for her, clap for me too. That's part of the crisis on the table, I believe.
Yeah.
Professor.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your perspective there. Let's go back to General Temlong now. I mean, a lot of issues have been raised, especially the challenge of the social and economic, issues that has actually contributed to this challenge that we have now. In your view, would you say that Nigerian government has taken the recommendations, because there have been a lot of recommendations concerning this insecurity, there have been workshops, seminars, and all that. Would you say that the Nigerian government has actually addressed this banditry, and have they been, and the measures that they have taken, has it been that effective? And if not, why?
Well, thank you very much. I think when we talk about the Nigerian government, probably we'll talk about in our presidential system of government, we'll talk about the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I think what the executive has been doing, it has tried to have a dark, and is doing quite a lot. But what bothers me, and which is serious too, is the level of intervention of the legislature. When the legislature speaks for the people, they are the ones who control the purse. The presidential system makes it in such a way that there is a dual control of the armed forces between the executive and the legislature, because you don't want to lump so much power in the hands of the executive. So that dual control is put in place. And I'm not sure that they understand that dual control measure. And they are supposed to be the closest. Like the example the Prof gave. Now, if you appropriated 9 billion or 1 trillion at the rest, during your legislative oversight, have you actually found out if it's the 1 trillion or the 10 trillion that you appropriated that has been given? And to what extent are those equipment that you said were provided, are they the correct types? Or are there problems that have arose? Or have you actually sat down and gone down to the various fields and meet the troops and commanders on ground and ask them what their problems are? We see it is not rocket science. We see it. Legislators in the US, they go down to the front lines, speak to the commanders, speak to the troops, and find out what do they require. Is it their own survival kits that they need? Or is it sort of equipment that they need that will need in that place? And that's how they come back and start work at that level and insist on passing laws or appropriating monies for those what is required. You don't sit down and start talking of blame game here while the whole box stops on your table. The example of ice in the air, the drones, it's what is that's what is in thing in. What we're even going for now is the attritable drones, which even the Boko Haram are using. The attritable drones are the small drones that you can tie explosives on them, they fly out, and then you meet them into the location, and then they explode them. And they create more havoc. And so, how expensive are they? People make drones in their garages. The Air Force Institute of Technology there in Kaduna has started making the Gulma. Even in Abuja there, you don't even need to go to South Africa. Drone technology is quite available. that you can make these small drones and float them in this thing. You found out that even the India-Pakistani war, you see the amount of swarm of drones. What of the Ukrainian-Russian war? How many swarms of drones are being used? So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The wheel has been reinvented. All you need is to modify. So I think the legislature needs to up its game. And I talked about the criminal justice system too. The judiciary has to up its game too. So I think what needs to is that members of the National Assembly must go down to the front lines and talk to the troops, talk to the commanders, or even invite them. During the Gulf War, General Petraeus was being invited during the Iraq-Afghan war. You found out that General Petraeus, who was the commander on ground, would be invited to the Congress. They would discuss with him the strategic leadership, the CDS, or Chairman, Joint Chiefs, the Minister of Defense too. They come and they talk. And at the end of the day, they provide the capabilities and capacity for the armed forces to operate. So I think what they are doing is we are not doing what it is supposed to be done. And if they do that, then there will be synergy between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And that is the complex synergy that you need to fight this situation. I believe that we need to do more. We have the wherewithal to do, but we need. In fact, if you look at some equipment, sometimes they buy equipment that are not that suitable, but we can't talk it here. But I believe that when you go onto the floor and start talking and castigating troops, is demoralizing. You are not even appreciating the sacrifices that these men and women are doing for us. They are not sleeping. They are all sleeping in air-conditioned rooms. If there is no light or the air conditioners fell in the National Assembly, they are joined. But go to these northwest, northeast areas where these people operate. Juma, I'm sure you know that in that area, if you don't have a mosquito net in the night, you are as if you are in Jos here during the cold season without a blanket. And these are the places that people are 24 hours. And then you come up on the floor without appreciating the sacrifices they have done. Those who have been killed, you've not even thought about their families. And and then the next thing is that because you have legislative privileges, you start castigating and talking all sorts of things. I think we must, if you put our men in harm's way, soldiers don't go to war. They are being ordered to go to war by civilians. Policemen don't go, they are ordered to go by civilians. The same thing with the DSS and all those who are involved in these things. They are ordered to go by the government, and the government is a civil administration. And once you send them in harm's way, you must appreciate and make sure that you bear their pains and the pains of their families too. I was so impressed with the speech of the Commander-in-Chief, the President, when he went to Kasina. And that was a speech of a President Commander-in-Chief, bearing the bread, sharing the pains with them. That is their Commander-in-Chief who has sent them, and he was sharing their pains with them. So it means that we need this thing to go down the line, that even those in the National Assembly must bear this, and they are the ones who are with us. So they must bear our pains too, and the judiciary must bear these pains too, because when they send people, and when they even understand that the prosecutors are blowing those cases, they must make reports. They must make reports saying, look, the prosecution has blown this case. Because there are so many ways that sometimes you see the prosecutor go and blows a case. And that's something that's happened. So at least the attention of that agency must be brought. If it is the police, you bring up to the attention of the IG. If it is the lawyers, you bring it to the attention of the Attorney General, so that they will know that there are people who are now being a clock in the wheel in the progress of fighting these terrorists and these criminalities that in the country. So I believe that we must do something more as a people. There must be more responsiveness, and I agree totally with the Prof. And I said it even in my opening statement. The absence of governance at the local and state level is the major problem that we're having in this country. And once there is absence, there is a nature opposed vacuum. And once there is absence, those people operate in those vacuums. I said it even when I was a commander. I gave my recommendations that, look, I saw total absence of governance in the Northeast at the local level. And that was what gave rise to the rebels occupying the whole south of Nigeria in the Lake Chad Basin. And after defeating them, I said we must put in things in place. If not, they will regroup. And that's how they regrouped. And Boko Haram came up. So I think we must do something about governance at the local government level and the state levels. Unfortunately, the local government chairmen are not responsible to the citizens at the local government level. Their loyalty and this thing is to the state governor, because they were there imposed by the governors in so-called elections that were conducted by the state electoral commissions. So you can't do things. I had a terrible experience. I tried to get my people, I said, look, what do we do to get our people safe? Let's have a community security and an early warning system training for our men or our citizens. Let's look at the leadership, traditional rulers, to church leaders, religious group, youth level, women level, and see. Let's have a group and see how we can and talk to them. I volunteered. I prepared a program for it. I say it's free of charge. The only thing is that when you bring people from their communities, you are going to transport them. So do the transportation, feed them, and provide the venue for me. And what did one of them say? Look, that's not their priority now. That their priority was the congresses of their party. You can imagine. So are these people responsible to the citizens? That I, as a senior citizen and elder statesman, seeing what is going on in this country, I said, look, let me help my own people. With that, we can cascade it down to the other local governments. I said, look, force the hands of the state governor and say, look, let's do this. I've done it in my community. Let's extend it down the state. My problem with that, it will catch fire in the whole country. And here they were telling me those sort of nasty stories. So do they understand what it means by being the chief security officer, or the responsibility, or the chapter 2 of the Constitution, which says the citizens' responsibility and life and property is the responsibility, and welfare of the citizens is the responsibility of government. How are they going to this thing? And that's why even at the national conference, we recommend that chapter 2 should be justiciable. People should be sent to court.
We'll come to you later in the program for you to, talk about, how communities can be involved in, security where they are. Let's return to the studio where Patrick Abomba is seated. General Tom Long have talked about community contributions. Professor Oke has talked about technology. Getso has talked about bottom-to-top approach in trying to curtail this banditry in the bird. And we all know that the world is moving towards a place where boots will not be on ground to fight wars. It will be technology, drones and all that. We see in Ukraine, Pakistan, Gaza and all that. So how can local communities come together with the traditional rulers, vigilantes, civilian JTF and all that? Because they need funding too. They need to be taken care of. Most of them have been killed. Is that the reason why the local communities don't want to contribute to security in their areas?
The local communities need responsible leadership. Okay. And that is where we talked about the non-existence of the local government. The local government should be the compass for the local communities to actually function. We know that it's not been what it should be for years, and that has given rise to what we're seeing today, that there's a bit of apathy from the part of the communities. And like I said earlier, communities really do not know what their roles are, because that it needs to be defined, and they need a direction. And where you have the local government chairman, so-called local government chairman, because most times they are appointed or selected, living in the capital city or the federal capital territory and all that, without interacting with the community, it's difficult for him to provide leadership to prevent crisis or during crisis. What they will make political statements, just like the Honorable House of Representative member did made and all that, reckless statement that in actual fact fuels the crisis the more. But one aspect that is a bit troubling is the aspect of the judiciary. So many thousands, hundreds of some of the bandits, fighters have been arrested. Today, we don't know what is happening to them because the judiciary have not actually taken the actions. So you go to the northeast, so many of these terrorists, the military can do much, arrest, or kill. But what happens when they arrest these people? In the northwest, between January and this April, April last year, 48 terrorists have been killed, neutralized, commanders. But so many again, more hundreds have been arrested and handed over to the Department of State Services. We have not had them being tried and jailed or whatever punishment that is meted according to the law. That is one factor that is actually lacking. We have so many of these terrorists in Kainji and no courts to adjudicate or look into the situation.
So what is the role of the traditional rulers? What are the traditional rulers doing?
No, like I said, traditional rulers today have become politicized. So they tend towards whatever the government of the state goes. They don't do much. Some of them don't even live in their domain. They will give examples of fear of being killed, but yes, your people are living there. Why don't you give them direction? I will commend one of the traditional rulers that I also commend in Bama. In the heat of the whole thing, he relocated and stayed with his people. And so he's a rallying point for his people.
And he's a young man, too.
And he's a young man. So that has been a saving grace. But in most of this community, you don't see them. You see some traditional rulers even conniving. The governor of Edo State just recently had to suspend the traditional ruler because he was selling, relating with kidnappers and all sorts. So we have had, they have not played the role responsibly because they're also looking up to the political class that has actually not even done what they should do. So the people are left not properly led or governed. So, and when you have situations like that, they will have to go tilt towards having sympathy or allegiance to even those who are oppressing them and killing them. That's why you have people invited, people like the Lakurawas and all those who are having the Mahmoud group. They are migrating their Inquirer state because the communities are looking for the protection. When the political leaders cannot do so, then they look for means of how they can get protected.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick, for that. The communities are looking for more protection, just you said, and General Temlong also discussed the need for better synergy between the different arms of government. And some people have actually, said that probably because government declared the bandit as terrorists, it also impacted negatively on the situation and what are the potential consequences. But before we go to Dr. Getso, we just want to inform our viewers that you can interact, and ask questions and bring up suggestions on this discussion. The number is displayed on your screen, so just send us SMS.
Yes, I actually have some text messages, and I'm going to read them before we go to Dr. Getso. He said, "Good morning. I am Abbas Abubakar Saad from Jalingo, Taraba State. In addressing this situation, leaders of various organizations need to be involved. Ward heads, village chiefs, and community leaders can help curb rising insecurity by promoting unity, educating the youth, reporting suspicious activities, and working closely with security agencies. Their influence and early interventions can prevent violence and strengthen peace within the community." And another one said, "Issues of banditry in Nigeria will not end only by security operatives until we are ready to end it. Why I said so? These men involved in the banditry have family. They all come from a community." Don't forget to, add your name when you're sending your contributions to the conversation. That's about what I have this morning from text message. Oh, yes, yes. Another one came in. Good morning, Nigeria. Resurgence of banditry in Nigeria, particularly in the northeast, is very worrisome. I want to agree with all the guest speakers in this program. We need more hands in the military and the police to join the existing personnel to fight this menace. More good weapons purchased to fight the war. Urgent proactive steps must be exhibited to nip the menace in the bud. Government needs to do more on security to save life and properties. May God help us. Amin. Mohammed from Okene in Kogi State.
All right. Okay. So let's, Dr. Getso, just
maybe respond to some of the
some of them, and also talk on the declaration of the bandit as terrorists, whether it has impacted the situation, negatively.
Well, I quite disagree that declaring the terrorists as the bandit as terrorists have made any negative impact or is making any negative impact. Yes, of course, like mentioned by those who sent SMS contributions, it is very clear that I believe, and that's still my position. Nigeria have the capacity in terms of personnel. Nigeria has the capacity in terms of armament, and Nigeria can manage this menace within 60 to 90 days at maximum, to downsize it at least by 60%, 65 or 70, 75. And in any exam you sit and you pass 75, 90, 65, 70, 75, you must be rated high that you have succeeded in your exams. But there are several issues that need to be looked inwards carefully. And our leaders, both legislators, executives, and whosoever, if we are really interested, because why I mentioned this word, interest, is the fact that I mentioned earlier, and I have been mentioning it in the last 17 years, that those who are committing atrocities in Nigeria, 99.9% of them are Nigerians. And 99.9% of them are in Nigeria. And that is why I have a disagreement with the army spokesperson who mentioned last week that most of the terrorists, most of the bandits are foreigners. And I disagree. I believe, and I have my evidence, they are 99.9% of them are Nigerians. They live in Nigeria. They live within the communities, within the 70-kilometer radius. But have we been, the questions now I want to ask, who have we been able to hold responsible, accountable for the responsibility given? Yes, of course, we are commending the military and all the security personnel for the good work they have been doing. We are not saying they are not doing anything. We believe they are doing the best they can, but the best have not been enough to manage the situation. Those are the legislature. Most of you are part of the problem until and unless you sit down and x-ray your own situation in terms of appropriating, in terms of budgeting, in terms of release of the funds, in terms of monitoring and evaluation and assessment of the performance being made based on the amount being released, in terms of the alleged allegations of corruption and participating in corrupt practices and so on and so forth, then that is the only time when you will talk to Nigerians. You cannot just go and stand up on the floor of the National Assembly and be discussing something that you have not been able to take the ownership. That is three. And number four, we must go back to the communities and empower them. We must build their capacity. How much efforts have we been made in order to build the capacity of the vigilante? How much have we been able to even have the hunters group of Nigeria and all other local allies who are vigilance, who are supporting, who are not? How much have we been able to modernize their system? And how much have we been able to identify them and recruit them through either the polling unit, the political watch, and the local government? If you can identify a minimum of 90 per polling unit of the vigilante, of the civil, other civil security non-formal that we have, and so on and so forth, build their capacity, identify them, and develop database, if you have 10 political ward, 10 polling units in a political ward, 90 from the polling units times 10 in a political ward, it will give you 900. And if you can have this, they already have existing some structural system, because they already have the training. All you need is to reorganize them and build their capacity and hold them accountable for generation and disseminating the intelligence. And then you strategize how these communications will be sent around all the brigade commanders, all the unit commanders, all the all other platoon leaders, as well as whatever you may have as a formal structure, all the divisional police offices, all the local security officers, the representative of the DSS, all the immigration part of the system, and all the civil defense corps that you have, as well as the military available while they are available. So if you have 10 political wards, 90 times total number of political wards, making 10, will give you 9,000. So if you can pilot this engagement of this, the vigilante and the hunters and the civilian JTFs that you have, which are available across all the state and all the local governments and all the polling units, we know who are the criminals. We know where the criminals are. And these are the community structures that you have them in abundance everywhere. But how have we been able to utilize them? How have we been able to complement efforts? How many traditional and religious leaders, as well as even the political leaders, political appointees, elected political persons that have been found wanting? What have we been doing in handling them and managing them? How many officers, both in the military, in the police, in the DSS, the immigration, the civil defense, and all the other stratas that we have we been able to demote? Have we been able to dismiss? Have we been able to hold accountable for the killings?
Okay, Dr. Getso, okay, we know that you are very passionate about what we are discussing, but the director is calling for a break now. When we come back, the conversation will continue. Stay with us.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
When we think about the digital economy, you can see it as the marketplace for digital goods and services. And increasingly, it's becoming a force to reckon with and an incredible contributor to economic growth, because we've seen the growth in technology and digital platforms. Technology has it really permeated every aspect of life and business, the way we live, the way we work. And when we talk about the digital economy, we're really talking about leveraging technology and digital platforms in a powerful way to drive growth, to drive solutions to problems, to drive applications, and to provide services.
The digital economy is something that has the potential to help Nigeria leapfrog a lot of its development challenges, right? Because think about what the mobile phone did for Nigeria years ago. That is the potential we have for digital, because it has a way of reducing the barriers to innovation. It has a way of being able to transform service delivery, whether it's government's delivery of services or whether it's services in the health system, where people can use digital to actually be able to see their patients better. But it takes a lot to realize that potential of digital. The first thing is like every other thing, there's an infrastructure you have to build to be able to make sure that digital economy can thrive. Think of something like, capturing that happens in Nigeria, right? Where you capture, people's biometric when they go for a driver's license, when they go for passports, and each of those are separate things. Largely a system where be able to streamline that and actually have a platform that exchange biometric information that makes it easier for people to access passports, easier for people to register to vote. But today it's very tough, right? But those are basic infrastructure that needs to be invested in. A lot of it is through government and private sector collaborations to make it happen.
If we're looking to accelerate growth in the Nigerian space, we really need to look at enabling the digital economy. That includes providing digital infrastructure, connectivity, because that's the highway, like the highway that everything rides on. We need to think about digital capacity building in terms of the suppliers to the economy and also the consumers within the economy. So a robust digital literacy initiative. The good thing about technology is that, one, it helps you to transcend boundaries. Two, it creates a level playing field, really, because if you create a solution, a technology-based solution that is applicable in this environment, that same technology can be applicable, exported to other environments. And, technology platforms also help drive collaboration, right? When we're thinking about innovation, when we're thinking about business growth, collaboration is an important part of that. So when we think about the impacts with the rest of the world, we find that actually technology platforms are giving us an opportunity to engage more actively, to collaborate, to create partnerships, to even export our knowledge and services for people to engage with all the great things I'm talking about technology and digital platforms. They need access, internet access, broadband access. So we need to make sure that access is more available and affordable for the average user.
The most important thing is to think about where you want to go as a country and actually what type of policies are going to help get you there. There are examples of countries who've been able to transform using digital, for example. There are very clear things those countries did to be able to make it happen. So a lot of this, the pathway to be able to solve these problems are not mysterious, right? It takes courage of the policymakers to be able to understudy some of these things and bring in the policies that work to be able to help them.
We're still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we've been discussing the resurgence of banditry in Nigeria, especially in the Northwest, and we have our guest still seated here in the studio. Professor,
I have some questions.
Yeah, okay, we have some questions. Professor, okay, will respond to some of them.
Maybe Prof will respond to some of these questions. He said, I'm asking, have we ever had genuine repentant criminals? Why do we keep murderers, feed them with national funds, and provide them with better privileges than normal citizens in the name of rehabilitation? Why are they not eliminated since they are found guilty even before they are apprehended? Okay, this is the greetings to all Nigerians. The resurgence of banditry is worrisome and embarrassing. I would advise that our security architectures be overhauled and new ideas be brought in, even if we have to seek for foreign help. Engineer Umayang from Jos. Then this one says, I believe that the politicization of every aspect of the national life, including security, paved the way for the glorification of banditry. A holistic review of the Nigerian system in general is required to curb this menace. God bless the Prof for his candid analysis. Thanks. That is Comrade Umar Abduraziz from Toro Local Government. And this one says, my name is Kingsley. Federal government needs to empower communities to fight this bandit. Federal government needs to also give death insurance to all security forces, especially our army and the police. Prof, you want to respond to some of these?
I don't know where to begin the response from, but I'll start with some issues and dovetail into the response. First of all, the military is not designed to detain anybody. The moment a professional army begins to have large detention facilities, it is demobilizing. For a simple reason. You need to take care of them. You need to take care of the facility. You need to provide ration. So if it's an army barrack, the number of people who go for morning parade will be less. The people who go for it, you are demobilizing. And we're giving the Nigerian army and the military in general jobs in the southeast that has nothing to do with them. Now we're speaking of resurgence, not emergence, of banditry. That means there was a time it went down. You began to receive repentant Boko Haram, surrendering bandits. For 1 year, 2 years, they were surrendering. Within the same year, Sheka was alive. Should I not have told you that nobody was surrendering? Nobody gave the military of Nigeria the location of where these things were happening. That's on one point. On another front, you look at the environment and you ask yourself, okay, the army has come, they've driven away Boko Haram. Is it the army that will provide jobs and water and a sense of community, restoration of famine? No. And those you detained, now many of them actually surrendered because they couldn't eat. They ran out of ammunition. Their psyche has not changed. They were not in the first place groomed or educated in any way to understand the concept of community. And so you take them away, put them somewhere, feeding them nicely, making sure the mosquito you mentioned in Maiduguri doesn't bite them. Now those, they wiped out their families or some members of their families, no provision for them. And then after some time, you're giving them lectures on good behavior. This is, with all due respect to those engaged, this is purely, totally delusional. Because you're dealing with people who only understand survival, what I'll take and eat. The concept of the other person is not part of his consciousness. And so after giving him this nice treatment for 4 months, you say you're reintegrating him. Sometime, I think, was it 4 years or 5 years back, when we went to organize a training for spokespersons of military and security agencies in Maiduguri, we visited the Shehu. The Shehu of Borno raised the matter. I said, you see, somebody killed 3 members of a family of 5. You've taken him away somewhere. He used the word, you've rubbed powder on his face and given him some money with which to start a trade. And you expect when he's coming back, the villagers will be clapping for him. Those you remove their breadwinners. What have you done for them? That's number 3. Number 4, the state government itself. You remember how often Zulum celebrated the surrendering. I wrote an article on it, on the back of this day, why Zulum needs help. Fantastic. But it is state resources that are needed for development you're deploying in capital consumption, whether federal or state government. When you take money and you're feeding people, you're buying mosquito nets, you're maintaining refugee camps, 1 kobo will not be produced for Nigeria from that effort. Now, those in those refugee camps are farmers who produce food. They are not producing food. Some of them are leather workers. They are not doing any leather work. Some of them had been in the trade of importing the bino from through Taraba. It's not coming. Some are even in the grasshopper trade. It's not being harvested. There are areas they've been out of that place for up to 3 years, which means re-desertification has taken over the land, so that even if they go, they can't start farming. And that becomes the platform on which the government deploys billions of naira. Now, at the level of even providing for them, socialization is counter-societal, because they are not there as a community, they are there as scavengers. The female people in the camp are taken advantage of by those who share the rations. Now, that's a complete milieu. And we go back to the military. I think earlier on somebody had mentioned that, the civilian doesn't come to defend. Let me give my understanding. The military is a professional organization. Just like if you're a nurse, you know how to treat a patient. When necessary, you apply an injection. Now, as the child is feeling the needle, the child won't like you as a nurse, but it's your duty. Now, look at this scenario. Let's suppose I'm a local government chairman. I've been given palliatives to share. Rather than share palliatives, maybe I'm given 200,000 bags of rice, and I bring out 37,000 and keep the rest. Now, hunger gets so bad in the community that they go and start looting the warehouse, because it's people who packed it there for me. Now, in the process of the looting, I call the police. The police come. It doesn't work. They bring reinforcement. It doesn't work. I bring in the army. The army come, and then Now, when the army has come, driven away those people, and secured the place, how will the civilians be looking at the army? You see them, terrible people. They are the ones colluding with the local government to eat our rice. Whereas the army has come as a professional organization to maintain law and order. That's their training. Now, as we are calling the army names, useless people, look at them carrying our rice. Does the local government chairman defend them? No. That's the crisis of the military, professional organization, totally misunderstood and unappreciated. And their own training doesn't tell them how to play politics. And that's why I'm glad that you're having greater engagement in terms of military-civilian relations. Imagine that the army must also protect itself. It's a very dangerous. You see, the military is the most endangered profession in the country today, because we're talking about what do you call it? Vigilantes and all of that. It's laughable. These are hunters who should be doing a job, not collecting, not government supporting them to feed because they're now maintaining security. You see, we're moving national development, we're shutting down national development and focusing on pocket engagements that should not be there in the first place. 2022, November, I was a guest of the multinational joint task force in N'Djamena. That's when I discovered that among the 4 countries, the force cannot go, I think, beyond 25 kilometers into any of the countries. The people know it, the villagers know it, insurgents know it. And so they operate within that frame. And so we now eventually were able to convince the women leaders. We already rated the role of women in national security. It's their sons and husbands. We convinced them, or the MNJTF, working with the team, convinced them to attend a meeting, Chatham House rules, no disclosure, and some traditional rulers. They put all the cards on the table. They said, we can't give these people any information. That's the military. We said, why? He said, when you tell them, they will come here, shoot some people, and go away. Then they will come to kill us. So let's tell you the truth. Our sons are in Boko Haram. Our husbands are in Boko Haram. And we're able to meet them maybe once or twice in a month. We can even spend time with them. We get food. We have a containment strategy that's working for us. You know what to pay if you want to go to the farm. Some of us couldn't get up after the engagement. We are in a daze. Then exploration and other conversations, because we were there for 10 days. Communication, you know, effective communication to de-radicalize the place. You know, we have this communication thing. We've translated it into Hausa and Fulfulde. Wake up. How many people will sit down to read it? That's number one. And how many people are literate in those languages? And if I'm literate in Igbo, is it a document in Igbo I'll read, or the one in English? And then Boko Haram has taken time to brief the people comprehensively on the stations not to read into, not to listen to. Oh, we'll go on BBC Hausa service. We're talking to our people. You're on your own. It's that bad. They're that strategic. Then you have this Frenchman, I think at that time he had gotten $11 million. There's a lot of support. We need to understand that when we are speaking of insurgency, yeah, it's possible to say it's not, it's 99% Nigerian. But think of the crisis in Niger, what do you call it, Libya, Southern Sudan,
Mali.
The movement of small arms into the country, the movement of disbanded criminal groups, among other things, and the fact that the Northeast trade is also part of it. So put all of that together. What you find is an environment where, when Buratai was living, remember he said that Boko Haram is not about to go. He knew what he was talking about. So you have a totally confiscated environment. The question, if the army has sent away Boko Haram and shot them like those women told us, the army is not a setup to run a community. That fact alone, once you ignore it, resurgence means return of what was removed. The measures taken on which civilian leadership should have built on, there was nothing to be built on, and like was pointed out, the vacuum had to be filled. So in the absence of that, that's the extent of the complexity. And the interesting thing, we got to Maiduguri and flew by helicopter. We flew by a chopper to N'Djamena, the capital of Chad. The chopper was not driven by Nigerians. It's not a Hercules. And we are practically flying at rooftop. In fact, you could have removed Britain you have from the helicopter and said hello to somebody on the road, literally speaking. Why did nobody shoot us? Aware of the massive international economy that needs the Southeast, the Northeast, arms need to be sold. The American arms industry needs to keep going. International arms trade needs Africa's stupidity in order to be in business. And one of the anchors of that stupidity is the Northeast. And it's spreading all over the country. And leadership is the crisis. Yes, I think it was because of the Matasine riots that the first time arms were banned, the pump action. Yes. Should it not be clear to us that arms licenses should be restored? Instead of the double-barrel gun, you shoot and then bend it. At the very least, the Mossberg should be returned. Nigeria should be able to license it. At that time, even the Jivan sporting I was a teacher in the university, but I loved the French Jivan sporting rifle and was saving money merrily to go and buy it. I would go to the gun shop in Ikeja, and I would take it, and the man said, look, get used to not pointing a gun where anybody is, even though there's no bullet. Today, there's no arms license.
There's no arms license.
But the bandits carry AK-47. Criminals who pretend to be headers carry AK-47. Because let's not pretend that I'll be done in about 30 seconds. Did Fulanis enter Nigeria last year? No. Were they there before I was born? No. Were we having problems with them? Yes, they were before I was born. Were we having problems with them? No. Our Fulanis, do they wear earring? No. They are the ones all over the place. The Fulani, that is Nigerian Fulani, is allowing him or herself to be scandalized by strangers who are not Nigerians in their name. The same as the ethnic stock, yes. But that's not how they behave. If they are Nigerian Fulanis, why are they taking over primarily the north? Why are they killing people who are presumably Muslims like them, wiping out their villages? And I'm not talking about Middle Belt. Sokoto is not part of Anambra State.
You know, at a point like this, you really don't know what to say, but the program must continue. Let's bring in General Temlong for his final words. And I would like to ask you this very important question. How important is regional cooperation and neighboring countries, especially, you know, in tackling cross-border banditry? I'm giving you 2 minutes to please answer that.
2 minutes is too much.
1 minute. My producer said 1 minute.
It's very important. Having been a commander of the multinational joint task force, I'll tell you, cooperation is very important because these criminals move across borders. And when you say the borders are porous, there is not just porosity. You can drive across them. You know it. You are from Borno area. In fact, it reached a stage during my stage that the Chadian government had to put their third military region completely from Bagasula under my command because of the cross-border situation. So I think we need regional cooperation. And to address what the Prof is saying, a problem is just a governance issues. It's governance issues simple. It stops on the bulk of the state of the governors, the local government chairman. We talked about, in fact, if you go back in 2018, when I was the president of the Alumni Association of the National Defense College, we organized a national security seminar on a post-Boko Haram Nigeria. And part of the things that came out is transitional justice issues. The show of Borno even attended too. And the truth is that somebody has killed almost the whole family and they know him. And he comes back to settle in the society. How do they see him? What has happened? And so we looked at even the Rwandan model, the Gachacha, what happened in Rwanda. So these are some of the things, the recommendations that they are coded in papers, in our journal, the National Defense College Journal, Constructive Engagement. So all these things are there. So the question of even having a talk shop like the National Assembly is talking about does not even arise. It's time for action now. It's not just time for talk. Let seminars that are organized by the military, let them be attending the exercises that the military are attending and see the adequacy or inadequacy of the training and the equipment, and let them go to the front line and see the condition of the troops and talk to the commanders and the troops. That will help better than talking.
We have to cut you there. Let's just have a parting shot from Dr. Getso, and especially this Senate proposed National Security Summit. How can it, contribute to addressing, the issue?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Whichever way, The best thing to do is to use a community initiative, community driven, and community owned and community sustained. We have to build the community to take the of the respective community, and the leadership issue and governance issue must be addressed. I quite disagree. The national summit, whatever they may call it, is just a waste of resource. That will not take us to a promised land. What we need to do is to undust the conference of it earlier in the last 20 years, in the last decades. Let's look back into it rather than wasting the money and inviting other people to repeat what has been said over times. That's my take.
Thank you, Dr. Getzo. Okay, let's have your parting shot.
Yeah, quickly. The national security, whatever you call it, is a no for Nigerians. I believe it's not what we need right now.
We have the Sunday proposed national summit.
Yeah, national summit. We have a platform already to be able to carry out the solutions to our problems. Then secondly, communities should have leadership in terms of those. The military cannot continue after getting a place, then you expect them to administer. No, the civil administration must go there to help provide leadership for the community people.
Okay.
Well, the calling for
You're only 10 seconds.
When did this quarrel start? You see, very quickly, there's no need to do anything about the national security architecture. If this studio is having echo, you check the walling. We've been calling, so it's not about national security. The structure is in order. Equip the military, reignite proper responsible civilian leadership. That's the solution.
Okay. Professor Okechukwu, Executive Director, Development, Specs Academy, and Fellow, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Thank you so much for your contribution. Patrick Abumbo, President, CEO, Security Watch Africa Initiatives. We appreciate your contributions. And Brigadier General John Temlong, ON, Pioneer Commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force, former President of the Alumni Association of the National Defense College, and Security Consultant. Thank you so much. And Dr. Yehuza Getso, Security Intelligence and Investigation Expert. We appreciate our guest this morning for your contribution to the conversation. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting and insightful topic. I am Jumwa Yoso.
And I'm Ademola Adioye.